Welcome to the world of sylphids. My name is Tracy, and in this video, we are going to focus on a fascinating family of beetles, Sylphidae. Where do these beetles fit in our tree of life? Sylphids fit in right here. They are in the phylum Arthropoda, the class Insecta, and the order Coleoptera. What do these beetles do? Beetles in the family Sylphidae are also known as carrion beetles or burying beetles. These beetles are considered scavengers or detritivores, meaning they feed on dead plant and animal matter. Scavengers and detritivores are essential to ecosystems because they recycle the nutrients found in a dead organism, making those nutrients available again to other species. This individual here is Heterosylpha ramosa, the garden carrion beetle. This species can be found in much of the United States, including Davis. Of the carrion beetles, the garden carrion beetle is more of a generalist. It will eat all kinds of dead plant and animal matter. You can see this individual rummaging around through some fallen lupin leaves. The garden carrion beetle is in the subfamily Sylphidae. Beetles in this subfamily will often mate and lay eggs near a carcass so that their larvae have plenty to eat when they hatch. Here's the larva of a garden carrion beetle. After the larval stage, it will go on to become a pupa and then an adult. These larvae can be pretty speedy. The other subfamily in the Sylphidae family is the Necrophorinae. All of the beetles in this subfamily are in the genus Necrophorus. Necrophorus beetles, like this individual I have here in a tube, differ from other sylphids in that they actually have to bury a small carcass for their reproduction. They do this so they can protect the carcass from other scavengers and microbes. Before going on, I'd like to give a warning that I'm about to show you a video of two Necrophorus beetles working on a small mouse carcass. If you prefer not to see this, feel free to fast forward the next couple of minutes. A pair of beetles will often work together to move a carcass to an appropriate burial spot by getting on their backs underneath the carcass and pushing it with their legs. Then they will bury the carcass by digging underneath it until it falls into the soil. Underground, they will prepare for their eggs to hatch. They even secrete special antimicrobial liquids to preserve the carcass for feeding their offspring. When the larvae hatch, oftentimes both parents will take care of the offspring by feeding them pieces of the carcass that they worked so hard to preserve. This parental care is a pretty rare behavior in beetles. Do you notice those little mites crawling around on the backs of the Necrophorus beetles? Those are phoretic mites, meaning that the mites attach themselves to the beetles in order to travel around. Without the beetles as their mini buses, it would be hard for these mites to find the carcasses that they also rely on for food. The mites may also be helpful to the Necrophorus beetles because they can help keep the carcass clean, a win-win situation. People have long been fascinated with Necrophorus beetles. Jean-Henri Fabre, the French entomologist from the 1800s, offered these observations. This hoarder of dead bodies, with his stiff and almost heavy movements, is astonishingly quick at storing away wreckage. In a shift of a few hours, a comparatively enormous animal, a mole for example, disappears, engulfed by the earth. The others leave the dried, empty carcass to the air, the sport of the winds for months on end. He, treating it as a whole, makes a clean job of things at once. No visible trace of his work remains, but a tiny hillock, a burial mound, a tumulus. I conduct my own research on this out here in the coastal prairie at the Bodega Marine Reserve. The sylphids seem to like out here along the coast, possibly because the weather is mild and the conditions may preserve carcasses for longer. In my research, I'm interested in how scavengers contend with the patchiness and ephemerality of carrion, their required resource. Because of this, I want to know how far they have to fly in order to find carrion. That's why this beetle here has a number tag, so that if I find it again, I can know how far it traveled. I love working with scavenging insects because they are so important to food webs, and they have such interesting behaviors. I hope that if you ever find sylphids in nature, you will be all the more impressed knowing what they are capable of. And with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. Goodbye.